Yo, 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 this is Joe Flamingo. You watching American Drew. Now, look, the Nintendo Switch 2 has already dropped. It's already out. It's available. People have it. A lot of people saying some negative things about it. A lot of people saying some positive things about it. The Switch 2, I'm looking to see. I don't really know that much about it because I'm not really a Switch guy. I'm more of a PlayStation guy. But I'm willing to give a look at it to see like what I think about it and whether it would be worth buying or not. The official overview of the Switch 2. Let's go ahead and get into it.
The Nintendo Switch 2 system can adapt to suit your situation, however you like to play. In TV mode, use the dock to play on a bigger screen. In tabletop mode, place your system however you like using the stand, and share.
All right, so that's pretty much the same as the first Nintendo Switch. Like, so with the first Nintendo Switch, you could play it handheld or you could put it on the TV. So I mean, same deal here. I'm assuming that they wouldn't change that and make it just straight TV because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like, oh, okay, it's the Switch 2, so they're going to just make it so that it can just be on the TV and just kind of turn it into a real console. That's kind of what I was thinking they were gonna do, but I guess not. But whatever.
Share a controller with a friend. In handheld mode, play anywhere you go. With these three play modes, you can enjoy playing whenever and wherever you want. All together, anytime, anywhere. Let's take a look at some features of Nintendo Switch 2 and how it's improved from the Nintendo Switch system.
Yeah, let's look at that.
At 7.9 inches, Switch 2 has a bigger built-in screen. Here's how that compares.
They're saying, okay, so they're saying that the Switch 2 has a bigger screen, and if I'm being honest, it's not that much bigger. I mean, yeah, it is noticeably bigger than like the controllers are bigger for the Switch 2, so obviously the whole system has to be bigger then, right? So I don't too much care about the Switch having a bigger screen, more or less. I'm more looking for like, what is it gonna do for me? You know what I mean? Like, how does it innovate from the last one?
To Nintendo Switch. The system's thickness remains the same.
If the thickness remains the same, that tells me that you don't really have new technology in it. I mean, if I'm being honest, that's what it means to me.
With approximately double the pixels compared to Switch, you can enjoy games in greater detail on the 1080p screen.
Why would I need to zoom into that? Why would I want to zoom into... Alright, anyway.
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second, allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
The LCD screen is more vivid and supports HDR, providing more contrast between light and dark areas of the images.
I feel like this should have been in the first Switch. Like, you're giving me things that I should have already had. Now, mind you, I'm assuming the game that we're looking at right now is a game from the first Switch. So if this is a game from the first Switch, shouldn't I have already had this technology in the first Switch? And if I didn't have this technology in the first Switch, then that would tell me that other games along the time that the Switch came out did not have this, which I believe is not true. I believe that the PlayStation 4 did have this, or the PlayStation 3, or whenever the Switch came out versus the PlayStation 3 or 4. No, I think it was 4. Versus the PlayStation 4. Like, if the PlayStation 4 came out and it had that, then the Switch should have came out and had that too. You're giving me this in the Switch 2 5 years later, or how many ever years later, like not that big of a deal.
The all-new Joy-Con 2 controllers connect magnetically. Strong magnets keep the controllers firmly attached to the system.
Dude, so again, this is something that should have been on the first Switch. And this is a big deal because I know that those would fall out a lot, and it didn't take much to like disconnect them at all. And you couldn't let like a child play this. Like you couldn't let a 5-year-old play this because a lot of times they would just take the thing off. You know what I mean? They would take the controllers off. And not even be meaning to do it, but you know, in the heat of the game that you're playing Mario Kart or whatever it is you're playing, it might come apart. And that was but I'm gonna say this isn't a magnet isn't new technology, bro. A magnet isn't new technology. We've had magnets since we hundreds and hundreds of years, bro. We had magnets, bro. We had magnets for a long time, dude. Like, so I don't understand why these couldn't be magnetically connected. That just seems like y'all forgot and y'all didn't put it in. Moving on.
Detach a controller easily by pressing the release button on the back. The SL and SR buttons are bigger for greater comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2 held horizontal.
Of course, bro. Of course they should. See, honestly, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I'm gonna tell you how I feel about this. Like, so far, not hating, no hate. So far, this should have been called the Switch Plus, not the Switch 2. This should have been called the Switch XL or the Switch Mega or something. Not the Switch 2. This is not Switch 2 stuff I'm seeing here. These are like slight upgrades. It's like they went into the Apple store and was like, how did Apple get away with this for all of these years when they were doing the iPhone? Let's go ahead and start trying some of those tactics. And that's exactly what they did. They increased the pixel level, made it a little bit bigger, and then called it another number. Like, come on, bro. Those buttons should have been that large from the get-go. Let's be real.
Horizontally. The left and right sticks are now large.
Wait, hold on. What did they say about the bigger controller horizontally? Hold on.
The SL and SR buttons are bigger for greater comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2 held horizontally.
Okay, all right. Thought I missed something.
The left and right sticks are now larger.
Obviously, bro. You can't even, like, obviously, like, you know what I think? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that they expected a lot of children, like, between the ages of, like, maybe 8 and 13 to have these systems. And they didn't know that a lot of adults would be playing these games. But what did you expect exactly? The titles that you were releasing on the Switch were titles that were in my childhood, right? So if you're releasing titles that were in my childhood, why wouldn't I, as an adult, be playing the only system I could play these games on? You have Zelda on your thing. You have Mario Kart on your system. You have Metroid or whatever. You have Pokemon. Those are all games and titles and things from my childhood. Why wouldn't I be playing this? And if that's the case, if I'm an adult playing this, why wouldn't you have a controller that is comfortable to me as an adult in all ways that I can play it? Come on, bro.
Each Joy-Con 2 controller can be used as a mouse, opening up even more ways to play in compatible games.
So, all right, so did the Joy-Con, did the first remote control sticks do that? Because that's something y'all gonna have to like leave that in the, because I never used it that way, or I never seen if it could be used that way. I don't have the Switch anymore, but I never tried to or saw any way that I could use it that way. So let me know in the comments if the Switch One you could use it as a mouse. Cause I promise you something in my head is telling me that you could. That I remember something that being that you could do that. If you couldn't, okay, that's a good installment right there. That's a good add-on. But if you could, hmm.
Both the left and right Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls, so you can also play certain games using 2 mice.
Bro, why wouldn't both controllers do that? Why wouldn't both Joy-Cons do that? Do you not have left-handed and right-handed people? What are y'all trying to put? It's like y'all trying to. It's like you think somebody hit me over the head with a mallet or a frying pan, and then you're trying to sell me this game as if I don't have logic anymore. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, oh, both hands can be used as a mouse. Yeah, there's left and right-handed people. That's not a flex, bro. Come on. And what is this wheelchair game that they're playing right here? What's this? Like, come on, man. Even wheelchair people wouldn't play this. Wheelchair people or crippled people or the walking challenge or whatever, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I don't know the politically correct name, but even they wouldn't play this. Come on, man.
Like this. By adjusting the audio balance between the ranges, sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes.
Okay, so the built-in speakers, I feel like I understand why that would be an upgrade. And let me tell you why I understand that would be an upgrade. Because depending on how you created the system and the size of the system, you can only have a certain type of speaker in there. Granted, now, if they'd have spent more money on the speakers, and I don't understand why they didn't do that in the first place, but if they would have spent more money on the speakers, they might have had to be larger in some sense. I don't know. I'm not a speaker technologist, or I don't know nothing about speakers like that, but I understand why, like, oh, you got a small system, you got to have kind of small speakers, I guess. I don't know. Because I remember I used to play the PSP. I had a PSP when I was younger. And the sound quality on the PSP was trash, bro. It was cooked. Oh my God, it was so bad. But we made it work. We dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? You had the headphones, you had to put the headphones in, but the speakers were terrible. And if y'all know about the PSP, y'all know like the size of the PSP was like maybe like a little bit smaller than the Switch. As far as no, it's a lot smaller than the Switch. It was a lot smaller. It's like half the size of the Switch. But the speakers were terrible, dude. So I mean, I don't know. I'll give them to him on that. I'll say that's all right. Easy voice chat.
It has a built-in microphone, so you can voice chat with friends anytime via game chat.
I'm not really sure how that would work. I'm not really sure how that little mic right there is gonna make up and make sure that I can be heard over the game that I'm playing with the, improved speaker quality. If I have a headset plugged into the game, I don't need that. But if I'm playing the game without the headset and I have a mic up there and the speakers has stuff coming out of it, the noise coming out of it, how are they going to hear me through the mic? Does it know how to cut off the game's volume versus what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's dumb. That doesn't matter.
Friends anytime via game chat. It also uses noise-canceling technology to filter sounds.
Okay, all right. All right, hey, listen, I was wrong. They said that it has noise-canceling technology in it that filters out things, and it knows what the voice is versus the noise versus the game. Okay, Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo. I was wrong. I'm sorry. All right, moving on.
So your voice will come through clearly. Even if you don't have a surround sound system, games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
What you mean? What they mean? So what they talking about? I don't get that. I don't know. Am I slow? What are they saying? Like, all right, I'm gonna tell you what I think they're saying. What I think they're saying is, without headphones, you can hear 3D sound like you have surround sound, but they're showing me headphones. So I don't know if you have to have the headphones on to get that or not, but if it does have 3D sound without the headphones, that's pretty cool.
Even if you don't have a surround sound system, games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound.
Hold on, I saw something at the bottom here. It says something here. Hold on. It says, oh man, I wish I could get rid of the freaking, hold on. I'm trying to, I want to see this part right here. It says 3D audio only available in compatible games. 3D audio support via the blue built-in speaker requires a system update. I'm a little confused about this. I don't know if this
with
means
more immersive.
So sorry, I don't know what that's talking about right there. That's a little bit confusing.
Three-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
Let me know what they're talking about. I don't know what
Place your Nintendo Switch 2 however you like with a large, sturdy stand.
First one had that.
You can move it freely, like this.
First one, it didn't go that far down, I don't think, but that's normal.
In addition to the USB-C port found on the bottom of the system, there's one on top as well.
That's good.
It's handy for connecting a USB-C camera or charging in tabletop mode.
That should sound like it should have been there, but whatever. Okay.
Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal storage, 8 times that of Nintendo Switch, for storing your game downloads, save data, and more. Reading and writing data is also faster.
It seems like based on them saying that, it seems like they are planning to make it so that more of the titles that you purchase will be digital. It's like they're trying to lean toward a digital purchase rather than a physical purchase. Like if and I might be wrong, but I feel like they're going to cut back on the physical copies of the Switch games and focus more on the digital copies, and the physical copies will cost more, whereas the digital copies will be a lot cheaper. Not like how it is now, where like a lot of times the digital copies either cost the same or more than the physical copies right now. At least that's how it was when I was buying. I don't really buy too many games. I kind of have my own games that I play, and I kind of just play those. But like usually the games are like the same price. You know what I mean? But yeah, like that seems like where they're going with this. I mean, we'll see how this video ages and if I'm right or not.
8 times that of Nintendo Switch for storing your game downloads, save data, and more. Reading and writing data is also faster. Use the Nintendo Switch 2 dock to connect to your TV and enable up to 4K resolution for compatible games. HDR is also supported in TV mode.
So I know that there was like a component that you can buy to make the Switch 4K, and it looks like they just added that into the dock itself. But there was there was something you could buy, I forget what it was, that would make it 4K anyway. So
The Nintendo Switch 2 dock has a built-in fan that keeps your system cool. This helps keep performance stable.
So wait, hold on. You trying to tell me that y'all didn't think to put that in the first Switch? It's a dock, meaning that it was supposed to represent a console. It was supposed to represent a console. You didn't have a fan in it to keep the gaming cool? Because you assumed that we would all play it handheld? Is that what you did? Because you knew it wasn't any better on the TV than it was on the actual handheld version? So you didn't put a fan in it because you didn't think people would actually be playing it on their television? On
Nintendo Switch 2, you can play Nintendo Switch 2 games, as well as compatible Nintendo Switch games. Physical and digital games are supported.
I mean, why wouldn't they? It's the exact same system. It's the exact same system. These are the same games. They're not showing me any different games. These are the same games. These are Switch 1 games. So why wouldn't it support Switch 1 games when it's literally just a bigger version of the same system? You're not getting one past me, Nintendo. Can't get that past me. Well, look, man. Honestly, my honest opinion on this, like, I don't know what the directive was to call something a Switch 2 when it is very clearly like just an updated version of the same system. And Nintendo, you guys are not known for that. You're not known for cutting corners like this. You're not known for cutting corners like this. It's my understanding, since I was a kid, every Nintendo system was different from the last one. You have your errors. You have the regular Nintendo era, or Arc, sorry, and then you have the Super Nintendo Arc, and then you have the Nintendo 64, and so on and so forth. None of those were the same system or using the same technology. They were innovative. They were like incredible. So it seems like now, like, we're in a state where like the companies don't want to try anymore. They don't want to try to make new systems. They're afraid to be different. They're afraid to be different. It's like the movie industry, really. The gaming industry is like the movie industry. It's like every movie is something safe. It's a safe movie, meaning that it comes from like a popular book or some type of popular, like, something, like story of some sort, where it's like, okay, this particular thing has a certain amount of fans. So if we make a movie out of it, we're guaranteed to have this, or we should have this. And I get it. It's like when you're investing this much money, you have to kind of make sure that you're going to get a return on your investment. But at the same time, doesn't that also mean that you're kind of just making a movie just to make money? That's the whole thing. You're making the movie just to make money, not to give people a different experience other than the original source material. You're focusing on making money back. So you're trying to spend as much money as possible to make it as relevant as possible, right? and then recoup that. When it's like, no, you should be trying to make the best movie possible. And trying to make the best movie possible does not mean spending the most money possible. That's not what that means. So, and we know that because there's a lot of indie movies, right, that are incredible, that don't have even close to the budget that a Marvel would have. So we know that it ain't the money, you know? But yeah, it's like Nintendo is, I don't know, man. I don't want to say they gave up, but it feels like they gave up. I mean, it really does. Like, based on what I just seen, I'm not sure I would buy the Switch 2. Based on what I just seen, I don't think that I would buy it. Because it's like, on what planet do you create the same system that everybody already got and expect people to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for it? Yo, so check it out. Like, so let's look at some of the let's look at the innovation of Nintendo and how they kind of just fell off, right? From innovating. Like, this apparently was Nintendo's. It was called the TV Game 15. It looks kind of like an Atari, I think. I think Ataris used to look like that. Right? Nintendo's first home gaming console series. And it was for color TVs. Then you got Nintendo Entertainment System, or the Famicom. All right? Totally different. Two totally different systems, and they're meant to be played two totally different ways. Right? Then you got the Super Nintendo, the beast itself, the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom, right? This was a monster. Every kid wanted one of these. You either wanted this or a Sega, right? And then, so again, that's different from this one. And then the Nintendo 64, right? Nintendo 64, completely different from the Super Nintendo. Right? Even the controller is different. They didn't even stick with the same type of controller. Now, me personally, I hated the Nintendo 64 controller. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hated the Nintendo 64 controller with a passion. I didn't like that it had those three little spikes in it. I was always like, yo, why does this have spikes? Like, why can't it just, that middle spike be gone and I can just, but that's just me. But the console itself and the games, I love them. But the controller, I hated the controller. Okay, and then they corrected that with the Nintendo GameCube. The GameCube, completely different from the Nintendo 64. A whole other thing, right? And they fixed the controller. They still kept the analog, right? And they gave you a better controller. Let all of these people play right up front, just like they did here, right? Now let's go to, what is this? The Panasonic Q? I don't know if that's theirs or not, but it has, I guess you can play the Nintendo GameCube on it or something like that. I don't know. All right. And then that brings us to the Wii. I bought the Wii and I bought the Wii U. Completely different from, we're going to skip over this because I ain't never. Completely different from the GameCube. The Wii. Y'all remember the Wii? Everybody had a Wii, bro. Stop. Everybody had a Wii. And then the Wii Family Edition? I don't know about this one. I don't know if I ever had that one. But this is kind of like what they did with the Switch. They kind of did this and then they did this. It's the same thing, but it's like it's updated or whatever with graphics and whatever, the stuff that they do. Wii U. The Wii U is like the early Switch, if you ask me. The Wii U is the early Switch. Just you couldn't detach the controller, that's all. You couldn't detach the size of it, but it was the same thing, right? Um, and then Wii Mini. I ain't never heard of that. That's another Japan only thing. Let's see what this Wii Mini is. The Wii Mini, also called the RVL 201, is a smaller version of the Wii console that, like the Game Boy Micro, was released after its successor, the Wii U. Like the Wii Family Edition, it removes GameCube backwards compatibility. In addition, it also lacks many of the other Wii's features, such as internet connectivity and SD slots with LAN adapter and only one USB port. It was first released in Canada in 2012, then North America and Europe in 2013, a year after the Wii U's release, and was bundled with Mario Kart Wii. The sale of the console has never been confirmed. So this ain't sell nothing. It couldn't have sold anything because they can't even confirm what sales were. And then this is just a re-release, NES Classic, which brings us to the Switch, right? So the Switch is combining what the Wii U and the Wii was doing. It just put those two things together and they made the Switch, right? So now that they got the Switch, they should be on a whole other thing, because technically this, and this are all the same console, just with better graphics or whatever. So my whole thing is, and then that brings us to the Switch 2, right? The Switch 2 is just the Switch. It's the same thing, just bigger. That's it. The Switch 2 is the same thing they did with the Wii and the Wii Family Edition. It's like I said earlier, this is just an updated version of the Switch. The Switch 2 is just an updated version of the Switch. It's the Switch XL. So again, would I buy it? No. Nah. No. I guess it really all depends on what games they come out, but you know they're gonna come out with a freaking Breath of the Wild 3 or 4 or whatever the hell it is. You know, they're gonna bring a game to it that helps the sale of the console, but that does not mean, and more people are gonna buy it because of that, but it doesn't mean that this was worth the money if you do buy it. It doesn't mean that this should have been created, you know? So yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like, I'll end by saying this. I feel like they should have went really innovative and they should have made the Switch 2 like a computer. They should have made the Switch 2 like a portable mini little computer that you can plug up and use as a computer, but also like use as a console, and you know, vice versa or whatever. And then the controller would be like a Switch 2 controller where you could, you know what I'm saying, like it's portable or whatever. But this is just the same as the Switch. So it's a no for me, bro. Rather a long-winded way of just saying no, I wouldn't buy it. But I want to thank you guys for watching the video. If you like the content, please like and subscribe to this channel. Also, I want you guys to check out my other videos. And if you want me to do another review / reaction to one of these consoles, or even one of the games of the consoles, I'd love to be able to do that. I just want to know what you guys want to see first before I put in the work, you know what I mean, of making these videos. I want to make sure that it's something that you guys want to watch, and that you look forward to seeing. Other than that, thank you again. Please like, subscribe, follow me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.